Welcome to another episode of What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? I'm your host, Karen E. Osborne, and I am so glad that you're with us today. I have a really exciting guest to introduce you to. Her name is Cortney McDermott, and Cortney is a motivational speaker. She's a coach, and she has two books out. So the first one is Change Starts Within You. Good title, right?
Yeah.
And the second one is Give Yourself Permission. And Courtney's joining us from Italy. Welcome, Courtney.
Thank you, Karen. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, I'm just delighted to have you. So let's start with Italy. How'd you end up in Italy?
I ended up here over 20 years ago, actually. So I was doing my post-grad work in London, and then after that, I moved to France. I wrote my dissertation, was over there for a bit, and then I moved to Italy, who with my soon-to-be husband. And yeah, so that was now we're divorced, but we had a great run. We were together for 18 years, and yeah, I've been in Italy for over half my life at this point.
Wow. And so you live both? You come to the US a lot, or you mostly just stay in Italy?
Yeah, I'm over on both sides a lot. Now it looks like my daughter and I are actually going to be moving to the West Coast, to SoCal this fall. I'm actually going to be there also in 10 days from now. So yeah, it's exciting times. Never know where life is going to take you. Yeah,
That is the truth, isn't it? We
it
never
is.
know where it's going to take us. So speaking of where life takes one,
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about your journey. That I read just a small piece of your bio, and it's just such an interesting journey how you got from here to there. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, well, there's been many here's and there's. Well, I guess I could go back to the time of my first book. So when I wrote that book, I think I coined this term miserably successful because I was at that point in your life, right, where you've done all the things, you have all the gold stars, you have achieved so much in terms of what society tells you you're supposed to achieve, and yet I was pretty miserable. And, I had all the titles and the accolades, and I was jet setting all around the world. And I was with the who's and all the things. But, and that from starting out without any connections or any of that. So, and even entry level positions in corporate, rose up to become an executive at Vanity Fair Corporation, all these things. And I was just like, whoa, wait a second. Whose script is this? So that's the point where I stopped running on whatever script that was, and I started really looking at, well, okay, if this isn't the definition of that I have of success or a successful life or feeling fulfilled, what is? And so I really started to kind of dig in. And I had always been a real student of just human potential. So ever since I was a little kid, I mean, the books I read were mostly books on human potential. I was fascinated by what makes us tick, why we are the way we are, who we are, what we are, kind of the greatest spiritual questions. I was always really intrigued. And so I came to this point in my career. I went off after the corporate gig. I went off to become a vice president at Sustainability Partners. We were working with these huge corporations like Nike and Starbucks and the U.S. military and NASA and all this. And again, I was like, whoa, wait, what's this? Isn't it? So then from there, I started my own companies. Again, then that's when the book was born. That's when I did my TEDx talk, all those kinds of things. And then this second book, where things are, I think there's sort of this point of exponential growth. And I think it's what Einstein called the eighth wonder of the universe. It's kind of compound interest, like this point where all of this efforting you're putting in to move in a certain direction, all of a sudden it starts to take on its own life. And so
Mm.
I really kind of wanted to write about this in the second book, where I also introduce a lot more of the science of change, but also the spirit of change, right? And so it started off in a very linear way and then became very nonlinear. Anyway, we can go into that if you'd like, but that's a little bit of my story. I've lived so many lives in this lifetime. So that's a little glimpse. Yeah.
So let's go back just a little bit to the first book, right? You were on this journey. You like, what is this? Why aren't I feeling fulfilled? What were some of the answers to that question? Why aren't I feeling fulfilled? That can help our audience as well.
Mm. Well, one of the things I noticed is that I kept getting the things that I thought were going to make me feel fulfilled or happy. And they were kind of these momentary blips of excitement and uh, enjoyment, but they faded away. And I realized that that wasn't it. And what I see so often when I go around is we're just perennially chasing that next thing as this, which it becomes a hit, almost like a drug. And it's like we're chasing this thing that's perennially around the corner and we just can't get to it. And so what I noticed over and over is that externalities were not going to make me happy. That anything outside of me was not responsible for my happiness. And we kind of might hear these things, but when you sort of, there's a difference, I think, between, and I don't think this, there's a difference between a cognitive understanding of these things and an experiential knowing. So at a certain point, I got to this place of, kind of drop you to your knees, a cold and lonely hallelujah of like, yeah, actually, it's all inside, all of it, every single thing. And that's what inspired that first book. I was actually astonished that the title Change Starts Within You had not been taken for a book up until that point. But there you have it. And when I talked about in that book, unlocking the confidence to lead with intuition, what I was really talking about, because we use this word confidence, we use it mostly erroneously because confidence comes from confidere, with trust, with reliance. It means I trust. I trust in life. I trust in myself. I can trust in others. I can trust. I can trust that what's happening right now is exactly perfect as it is. It just because it is. And so after coming to that conclusion so many times, I'm like, well, wait a second. I actually got to talk about my own experience with this and how that came to be. So that was the impetus for the first book.
Yeah. And so now with the second book, give yourself permission. You're trying to take that awareness to another level.
Mm, that's a beautiful way of putting it. So I think actually it all boils down to awareness, kind of what are you aware? Right? Are you aware right now? Like just
Mm.
stopping and just noticing, like, whoa,
So
this
being in the
experience is
moment.
super magical. However you want to define it or think about it, it's like it's just stopping. It's like, whoa, I'm here. And who is this I, right? And again, we come back to some of our greatest spiritual teachings and all of that, but really it's this moment of just like, whew, huh. And so when I wrote the second book, it was more along the lines of, yeah, I would definitely say to your question, is it an expansion of my own awareness? So the second book came as basically the outline of this book came as a kind of download. It was give yourself permission to do this and give yourself permission to do that. And it was all, give yourself permission to do what you love, give yourself permission to make a lot of money doing what you love. And so it came as this sort of like, this is what you're supposed to be writing about. And then as I was writing about it, I was also going through so many changes in my own awareness and like what I understood to be true, which is constantly evolving. And what I mean by that too are the potentials available to us. So I really wanted to reveal through this book these potentials because I had just sort of clumsily at one point stumbled into a lot of these and then learned a lot about them through the science and the studies of why is this happening? Like, oh, it's happening because my mind is actually built this way. It's happening because my body's built this way. It's happening because there's a confluence of circumstances and things that we might not be able to understand, but we can start to maybe define by things like chaos theory. But what I did and what I strive to do with all my writing and my speaking is really kind of to just boil it down to, okay, here's the facts about what's going on inside of you, and here's how to apply some of those in ways that serve you rather than take you away from what it is that you want.
So can you give us an example?
Yeah. So, I mean, would you rather me go to the mind or the body? Because I think they're both really great.
They're both really important, but I
Right.
kind of like the body.
Oh, good. I'm glad you actually started with that because I feel like lots of times people think it's in their mind and they're like, how am I going to calm my thoughts and all this other stuff? And that, can get really hairy really fast. The body is actually this super, super quick way into a state change. And you need to change your state if you're going to change your circumstances, right? That's kind of a must. So one of the things that I'll constantly tell people, because again, lots of times we think things are psychological, but they're really stuck, stagnant energy in your physical body. And the fact is, the very clear fact to anyone is that we're not moving enough. We're just not.
Yes.
And releasing some of that stuck energy in your body is absolutely critical if you want to be stepping into new potentials. So one of the things that I have to say is like, just take 3 minutes and to a fast paced song and just shake your body out. And I first learned this practice years ago. I was in France. There was this woman teaching. Her name is Rochelle, and she was teaching this Koya, and she was telling a story, and I loved it. And I tell it to almost everyone who I tell about this exercise. She was telling a story of a gazelle being chased through the wetlands by a tiger, but the gazelle gets away. However, the gazelle does not go to therapy for the next 10 years about this time that the tiger was chasing her through the grasslands. What the gazelle does is she shakes through every part of her body, releasing the tension, releasing the fear, and goes back to being a gazelle. Now, when Rochelle was telling this story, she had two hands out in front of her and she was shaking one vigorously, and she asked us to do the same. And so we were doing this. And at the very end, she said, okay, well, what's the difference? How do you feel the two hands? And the hand that had been shaking felt really light. It felt like, oof, like it was kind of springing up. There was more energy in it. And anyone listening can try it because you can feel it after just 10 seconds. And
Mm.
so she encouraged us, invited us to just shake through every part of our body to a fast paced song. Now, this is something that I will frequently do. Like if I notice that something's stuck, it's not moving, I will get up and I will shake. But anyone who has had the experience of taking a walk around the block when they were stuck on something knows exactly what I'm talking about. And that's the vast majority of us. So it's just like move the energy through your physical body so you can start to open up to new potential. So you can start to open up to new ways to use your mind, to focus your attention, and then get new results. So yeah, that's one example. Mm.
That's a wonderful example. And you're talking to a believer, so I love that. You know, I get up every phone call. As soon as the phone rings, I stand up and I start moving and so I take all my phone calls, moving, walking. And I play cards with friends on Friday evenings. And every time somebody has to get up and go to the ladies' room, I get up and dance. So I love your, I
Love it.
believe.
Love it. I'm a dance party girl myself. I had a little dance party before we got on together. I'm with you. Yeah, it works. Anyone listening, it works. I promise.
It's excellent, excellent. So you have 2 books out, you're traveling the world, you're celebrated, you're on TED Talks, like, what's next? What's going on with you that's coming up?
I am actually super excited. I'm getting my first public trainings in a long time. I mostly just do private trainings and go to really amazing places like this. Recently I was on Necker Island speaking at a leadership gathering there and things like that. So they're very exclusive, and I'm really, really excited because the 11th and 12th of May, which is Mother's Day weekend, we're hosting these in-person live trainings, and I haven't had a chance to do that in a long time. So one is about money and one is about writing. And yeah, I'm super excited about that. I'm super excited about our move because I know there's been so much interest for these trainings in the US and specifically on the West and East Coast. So so excited to be coming back for that and be giving a few other opportunities. There won't be many opportunities for public trainings, but yeah, it's really exciting because I hardly do any one-on-one. We have a 3-year
Mm,
waiting list for the one-on-one trainings with me. So I don't really do that anymore. So it's more about the stage work right now, the writing. I think I'll probably write another book, which is something I didn't think I'd say after the first one, but after the second one, I was like, oh yeah. And actually I was working on a fiction book. So there's that. Yeah, I love music. I love all sorts of things. So we'll see. There's so many places to go.
that sounds so good. So you said you're even thinking about a fiction book. A lot of our writers, our audience are writers, nonfiction, fiction, poetry. Um, we have some playwrights I interviewed. So we have all kinds of genres and everything. Is there a book or that had a real impact on you and on your thinking and on your
Yeah.
life?
Yeah, so many books. I've read some of them multiple times because they're
Mm,
just so powerful. I feel like that's kind of one of the things I would suggest beyond any specific book you find. If you find one that's really speaking to you, actually revisiting it. And that might seem boring at first, but as you do it, that material kind of takes on a new life every time and you find something new. The one that just jumped out at me when you said it was A Holographic Universe. And that book had a huge impact on me. It really helped me understand kind of the nature of a lot of what we don't understand, like what traditional science doesn't explain to us.
Mm,
And it really, really impacted me profoundly because it's about quantum physics, but it's explained in a way that I think is much more accessible than a lot of the literature you find out there about it. And just really helped me kind of make sense of a lot of strings that I couldn't connect with my rational mind. I understood that these things were real in my experience, but I didn't understand how to explain them. So that's Michael Talbot. I think is I'm pretty sure that's his last name. He's no longer in human form, but he died really young actually, but his book is really, really powerful. Um, Gosh, I mean, there's so many. Alan Watts, huge fan of his work. Um, yeah, there's just so many different giants whose shoulders that I've stood on in my quest. And I would say fiction wise, The Seven Sisters. I just finished that.
yes,
Amazing.
yes.
Loved it. Absolutely loved that work. She's gone too from in the physical, but amazing. The last one that she wrote with her son was just wow, blew my mind. I don't know how much of it he wrote, but he's obviously a very gifted writer as well, and really beautiful work. Yeah.
Yeah. And I should have asked you this earlier,
Mhm.
but do you happen to have any of your books nearby that you could show us the covers?
Sure. Well, let me grab one. Hold on. I'll just get it.
Yeah, that's fine. While she's getting her books, um, I wanted to remind you that we will be back next week. We're back every week, every Tuesday with a new show. So let's see, let's look at these
I've got this
covers.
really fun chair too that I just got to straddle for everyone. Hi. This is the first book. So it's Change Starts
Oh,
Within
that's a
You.
great cover.
Unlock the confidence to lead with intuition. And then this is the second book, which is Give Yourself Permission. A little harder to maybe see with this
Yeah, the
light. I've got
yellow's a
it.
little
It's
harder.
late. It's late here. So I've got this. Let me turn the ring light down a little bit so you could kind of see it better. There you go. So it's
Yeah,
like a gold cover. They're both
yeah.
nice little table books.
Nice, nice.
There you
And
go.
how can they find you? How can they find out about you more, find out more about your books, buy your books, read your books?
Sure.
Where
Well,
are you?
first, thank you. I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you, Karen, because you're just doing such great work and sharing such inspiration. I've listened to you and really, really I love what you're doing. And I love the fact that you're doing it. So thank you for that. And thank you to everyone who listened. And if you do want to stay in touch, I'd love that. My handles on social media are Cortney McDermott, but my name is spelled without a U. So it's Cort. We also have a short URL for the CourtneyMcDermott.com. It's Court Inc. So Cortinc. And I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. My team does a lot, but I also check in, especially on Instagram, do some videos and things like that. And the books are available wherever books are sold, all online outlets, including some brick and mortar. So like Barnes and Noble. So yeah, you can find me in all those places.
Sounds wonderful. I want to be able to say, as a writer, I did as a person with a job, but as a writer, and my team does a lot. I want to say that. Like that to become true. I want to
Good.
thank you so much, Courtney. It's just been a delight having you. I know that the audience enjoyed you. I hope that you will follow Courtney. I hope that you'll pick up her books and let her know that you heard about them on What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? Until next week, everybody. See you and have a great week. Bye bye.